No, you are not failing. You're actually winning. And no, that's not cliche, but let me tell you exactly how your failures can make you rich. A lot of times people consider their first failed business as a failure, but I want to actually debunk that right now. So something that people don't consider is all of the growth that comes along with your first business. I, for myself, had a first business where I did renderings. Renderings are essentially where you recreate 3D images of your environments and then you can sell it to people. And I actually did really well. My first year, I made a great salary. I actually doubled the salary that I was making when I was working a 9-to-5 job. Now, that business per se wasn't a failure. However, once the pandemic hit, my business went to basically nothing. So it wasn't a failure in the sense that the business did bad, just it was a failure in the sense that we ran into a time in which nothing was being constructed. And when nothing's being constructed, the business didn't really have anything to grow from. But I don't take anything away from that because I gained and acquired a number of skills that I still use to this day. And I think that's something that commonly happens with a lot of people when they look at their first business and they consider it a failure, but they don't consider all that they've gained from it, all of the knowledge that they've now put together and is being used in another part of their business. So here's a perfect example. So let's say you went through your first business and you never did bookkeeping before, or you never did sales, or you had to essentially acquire a number of skills in order to be successful. So fast forward now, you get into your second business or third or 10th. And now you're going, man, that first business was nothing. This is the business that's really growing me. But it's not true. Something that happened over the course of all those years where you acquired so much knowledge and each one of those applied themselves to the next business endeavor. So when you think about your business from that standpoint, it really wasn't a failure because something that happens in a number of businesses is that first business wasn't the business that was intended to make you rich. That business was the one that was intended to make you intelligent and to make you learn about how to grow and manage a business so that by the time the 10th business came around, the third business, the 50th business, now you actually know how to run it the way you should have been running it from the very beginning had you have known those skills and acquired those skills up front. So don't ever take anything away from that very first business that you started. I don't take anything away from mine. I'm actually incredibly grateful for it. A lot of the staging and a lot of the styling and design that I use to this day is simply because of my very first business. Now, if I were to be doing that same business today, I know I wouldn't have the same level of expertise in it because I'm now so far removed from it that I don't even have the skills that I once was using in terms of computer technology to be able to continue it. I actually have to outsource a number of that stuff now. However, the design mindset, how to get into some of the spaces and rearrange the furniture to create a really useful outcome and a really beautiful outcome, all of it directly related to the very first business. Another point that I want to get into is the discipline that comes along with it. Now, a lot of people are considering, well, how is that considered a failure? Well, what ends up happening, let's say that first business tanks, like it does for a lot of people, but think about the fact that you stayed in it. There are how many people out there that get into business and they go right back to the 9-to-5 life. If that's you, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5 life. But if you are an entrepreneur and you're looking to continue to grow and not see your business as a failure, here's one of the things that you get. Is the toughness that comes along with it, the perseverance that comes along with it. This is a little bit different from the last topic because before we were looking at the skills that we acquired and how they translate to the next business. But this one is more about what happens with your mindset and how it grows into your next business. Some people, because of the toughness, because of the challenges they face, they end up moving on and they go into another route, whether it's a completely different business or they go the 9-to-5 route. But if you have the perseverance, if you've got the toughness to be able to endure, whether it's that first business or the 10th one, there is something to be said about that. I always say tough times make for tough people. And the people who have that toughness and the capability of sustaining that long enduring battle of being able to grow the business and seeing it go from its infancy into something great, there is always something to be said about that. So I want you guys to consider when you're looking at your business and you're looking at the failures that are associated with it, don't think about the fact that it's just the business itself and how much money you make that's not doing well. Think about what it's doing for yourself internally. Because even when you you are not working on the business is still working on you. Last thing I want to get into for today are what happens to the people around you in those failed businesses. Now, I think something that's really common is as we get really into our business, when we really take a deep dive into entrepreneurship, something that ends up happening that you realize when you leave the 9-to-5 life is that you're working 5 times more than you ever worked before. And you're like, man, I'm going to get into this entrepreneurial life so I can have some freedom. And then you realize you have no freedom. And the reason why you have no freedom is because you're working. And what is happening as you continue to work, you continue to lose out on a lot of friends. You continue to lose out on a lot of family because you spent all of your time just trying to keep your head above water. Trust me, we've all been there. You are not alone. And I want to say that this is actually something that's going to be beneficial to you. So I think what happens is we get into our routines when we are in a 9-to-5 life. We're like, it's the weekend, I'm going to let loose, I'm going to do this thing. But you haven't learned the discipline that comes along with entrepreneurship when you go that route. So when you go the entrepreneurship route, what's going to end up happening is you're really going to have to find the time to dedicate to your business. And as a result of that, you're going to end up cutting out a lot of the activities that you did with friends and family. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's something that is incredibly beneficial. Now, with some people who think of their business as a failure and as the losing friends and family as a failure, it isn't that. When it comes to what you're going to need to grow the business, losing friends and losing family as a result is just going to be a part of it. Now, this doesn't mean like you're cutting them out your life and it's like a failure. And that's why we use this word failure very loosely. Like it's nothing is really a failure in business. This is just the nature of what it takes to grow a business. And when it comes to those failures, some are going to think like this is a failed relationship or this is a failed marriage. We're not getting into that, but you're going to find that it is something that ultimately happens with the people who are truly dedicated to their business. Is there a way in which you can find a great balance in what you do on the entrepreneurship side and family side and friend side? Absolutely. Absolutely, it can be done. So don't take anything from this video to think that it can't be done. However, for the people who take the biggest dive, who dive the deepest, who want to go all in, and I'm one of those people, and there are some people who will criticize what you do and how you treat friends and family as far as not spending as much time with them because you're dedicated to the business. However, the goals that I've set in place for what I want my business to do is far greater than anything could ever do for me. I've already received a number of benefits from my business that I'm more than happy with, but there's a lot of stuff that I want to do for my community. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do for my friends and my family in the future. And I know the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if I really sacrifice a lot of my current friends and family time so that I can prepare myself and prepare the business. So for all the family and friends that are in the future, the ones who are going to help continue to grow my community, and also the ones who are going to be with me to the very end are going to know that they're taken care of. So if you're looking to figure out, okay, how can I go about running my business and still having a great balance, that's something you're going to have to do a deep dive in. But I don't want you to think of the failure from the standpoint of how you lose your friends and how you lose your family. But I do want you to think about the benefits that you do get when those failures translate directly into what it does for your business because of how it's going to help you benefit them in the future. Another thing you need to take into consideration and what's going to end up happening to the friends and family and how they treat you once you really take a deep dive into your business. Now, you're going to have friends and then you're going to have your real friends. You're going to have family, you're going to have those who criticize you. But something to always remember is that regardless of the friend or the family, those who make fun of you are never ahead of you. So you're going to need to make sure that you continue to work on that business and set boundaries and expectations of what you want your family and friends to know about you moving forward. You're no longer in the life where, hey, my weekends are free and this time is free, unless you have a very diligent schedule where you set that time aside. If you can do that and you can manage and balance all of it, wonderful. I want you to take that and run with it. But for those of you who are going on a deep dive, ones where you really have to nurture this baby business into something that's going to grow into something much larger, and you really need to take all the waking hours in order to do it, you're the ones that I'm going to be talking about for this particular instance. So take heed to this advice and know that if you guys want to continue to grow in this business, you're going to need those boundaries, and you're going to need to make sure you do cut out or set aside the people who are going to be detracting from that. If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video. And also be sure to turn on that bell notification so anytime a new video drops, you're the first ones to know about it. So until next time, catch the next video. guys.